have any tips and tricks for laying out your schedule and calendar to optimize your life? And then from Zane, I use my calendar to keep track of upcoming meetings, birthdays, and everything. But I get anxiety when I see upcoming events that I'm not looking forward to. Is there a way to reframe the way that we look at undesirable but necessary events?
So that presupposes that anything is necessary, right? So any of these things are optional, right?
Yeah.
There's a Louis C.K. joke about this. So I'm not a comedian. I don't pretend to be, but I'm going to go ahead and butcher his joke anyway.
Please do.
For the private podcast only, right?
Yeah.
And so since we're here with just the patrons, we can, but he talks about like, what you can get out of anything once. All you have to do is just end your life.
Right. It's the ultimate excuse.
Yeah. and at first I'm like, oh, how, obviously he's joking, but how cold is that? But then it's like, well, wait a minute. All of our lives are actually going to end.
Yeah.
And is this what I want to do before the end of my life? Is this how I want to spend those hours? Well, it's just 1 hour. Yeah, we tell ourselves these stories. Yeah. And so I can talk to you about how I sort of, what did Daryl say? Tips and tricks for laying out your calendar to optimize your life.
That question stresses me out.
Yeah. Why the hell would I want to optimize my life?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem is we feel like we have to constantly optimize. We have to make, the best use of every single second of every single minute. And that's just it's not a reasonable expectation.
Yes.
Like, of course, we're going to like do something and we might look back and say, oh, that was a great use of my time. Or we might look back and be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But that's life. I mean, it's not about just living this perfectly optimized life. It's about, it's about actually doing the opposite of that and learning from those mistakes.
I think, yes, you will learn, sort of looking in the rear view, you'll certainly be able to carry some things forward of, oh, that didn't work for me, this did work for me, etc. But when I'm looking at my calendar today, I have very, very few things on the calendar. And I do that intentionally. There's sort of three places from which I work. The first one is my today list. I don't have a to-do list, I have a today list. And at the bottom of that list, there's a someday list. And so I have a today list. These are the things that I need to complete today. These are the things that actually matter, that are important. These are, the first thing on there is the priority. And then from there, once that is taken care of, the next thing is a priority. Now, quite often, what I learn is that the thing I thought was a priority actually isn't a priority because I don't have the time to do everything in a day.
Right.
And so I don't schedule it unless I absolutely have to schedule it on my calendar. And so if I need to schedule it, like a podcast that we're recording right now, that is on the calendar. I had a radio interview this morning. That was on the calendar. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon. That's on my calendar. But then there are other things that don't require a specific time. I don't have to be there at 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever. Those go on my today list. And then if I can't do it today, it goes on a someday list. Here's the cool thing about the someday list. I don't look at it every day. I don't even necessarily look at it every week. But if I go in there at least once a month, I delete about half the things on the someday list. Because the thing that was so important to me today ends up not even being a blip on the radar a month from now, a year from now. So those things that are so precious, so important, so significant to you today, if you zoom out a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, certainly a decade from now, there's a great chance that whatever is so important to you today is not going to be important a decade from now.
Yeah.
And I think that relieves some of the pressure.
Yeah. What's the third thing?
Oh, I use my calendar. I use my to-do list, my today list, and I use my inbox. And so I do work from like an inbox zero sort of thing, but quite often what that means is I get in there once a day and just sort of triage certain things. I'll boomerang things to a different day where I know I have time to work on them. I use, there's a built-in feature now, even in Gmail, where you can schedule. I use an app called Boomerang. You don't have to use that. There's a built-in feature in Gmail now that you can just schedule an email to come back to you 4 days from now.
Oh, wow.
Or a week from now, or tomorrow afternoon, or whatever it might be. And that way I know, hey, I don't really have time for this. I need to boomerang it. Now, that can be a trap too. You got to be careful, because just like if you schedule something for your future self, oh, I don't really want to do this right now, but what did Zane say, actually? I use my calendar to keep track of upcoming meetings, birthdays, and everything, but I get anxiety when I see an upcoming event that I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah.
Well, how do you get those on there? Is because you said yes to it a month ago.
Ooh, yeah. So for Zane, the best response to his question is start saying no more often.
Yes.
Practice saying no.
Now, how do you do that? How do you compassionately say no? Here's how you compassionately say no. Instead of saying no, you say yes. Here's what I'm saying yes to. And because I'm saying yes to, I'm playing basketball with my son every night at 6 p.m., I can't say yes to your invitation to be at the gala at 6 p.m., right? And so they know what you're saying yes to. And no one's going to be like, oh, you can't play basketball with your son tonight. I need you to. Okay, well, then you start to understand a whole lot about that person.
I need you at the gala.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to jump in for a second, guys, because this is something that keeps coming up, and I don't know if you're going to hit it or not, but I think it's important, and that's memento mori. Remember that you will die. You see that come up. I know Ryan Holiday talks about it a lot with the Daily Stoic.
Yes.
You see it come up in Robert Greene's work a lot, too. The guy wrote 48 Laws of Power. But we have done such a poor job in today's society. We have distanced ourselves so far from death, right? We hide it away. Used to be our society lived with death, right? We saw people die in front of us. We slaughtered animals in front of us. We saw, and it was a reality, right? You realized, wow, every day you saw, my time is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's never guaranteed. Yeah. And sometimes it takes different things for different people. For me, the changing point was when my dad passed away in 2013. You guys have heard the story. I don't know if the audience has heard the story, but just to recap really quick, he died from complications from Agent Orange. He's exposed during Vietnam and Korea. And as I was sitting with him in 2013 and he was passing away in the VA, all he kept going over were the things he wished he would have done.
Wow.
And all I could think about as I'm talking with him and listening to this is, we're not guaranteed any amount of time. If you want to do something, you need to do it now. Don't be at the end with the regrets.
Yeah.
In our society, we're actually programmed to say, I'm going to wait until I'm 59 and a half or 65 or 68 or whatever it is.
That's assuming we're going to get there.
That's when I'll do the things that I really want to do.
Right.
Well, another way to look at it too is like when someone asks you to make a commitment, a time commitment, you can ask yourself, like, if I died, tomorrow, would I regret not doing that thing?
Yeah.
And that'll help you filter through a lot of the yeses and nos.
Yeah.
Because, someone asks you to, I don't know, to a birthday party. Like for me, yes, I would die and be like, oh, I wish I would have went to the birthday party. But Josh would die and be like, why did I spend time at that birthday party?
I wish I wouldn't have gone to that birthday
party.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.